Thank you, everyone, and welcome to another fireside chat with Udi Sela of Arctic Wolf and Audrey Champagne of Carbon 60. That's me. Uh, Udi, we're here with you today. Thanks very much for joining us. Wondering if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and Arctic Wolf.
Hey, Udi Sela. I'm the SE responsible for Southwestern Ontario at Arctic Wolf. Very excited to be talking to you today. Let me tell you a little bit about Arctic Wolf itself. We've been around for about 10 years or so. We've been doing the MDR and XDR game for a very, very long time. We've got about 2,000 employees. Just to give you an understanding, when I joined a year and a bit ago, we were at about 800 or 900 employees. Today we're at 2,000. We're expected to double that again next year. We've got over 4,000 customers, very happy customers on 24/7 basis with SOC operations. SOC's located in Waterloo, Ontario, Provo, Utah, San Antonio, Texas, Eden Prairie, Minnesota, and we just opened one in Frankfurt, Germany as well. We've got 97% customer retention, which is huge in the vendor community. And the reason why that is we've got something called a concierge security team. I'll talk about what that means, but really it's two named individuals specifically assigned on top of the 24/7 services that we provide, two named individuals that get to know your organizations, give you that human touch and work with you on a long-term security journey. We've got proprietary technology that we've been working on for the past 10 years. We're not reliant on third parties. And that will really allow us to give you a predictable pricing model, meaning that when a product, changes licensing and so on, we don't experience that. We don't have to translate that to you. Makes it a lot easier. Finally, we've got both IR, incident response capabilities, and a warranty that I'll talk about later on. But really, at the end of the day, customers love the way that we work, and that's why we get that retention. We're also 100% channel led. And today we've got Carbon 60 with us. We work hand in hand to provide the best possible service. Carbon 60 really knows you as a customer, gets to know your environment along with us and make sure that we protect your property and work on whatever might be happening within the environment, both from a tactical perspective and a long-term perspective. As you can see on the bottom, we've got all our certifications, very straightforward. Again, if anything is missing, we can always discuss that.
Thank you, Udi. Thanks so much. Again, my name is Audrey Champagne. I'm the product manager of security at Carbon 60. And just a little bit about Carbon 60 as well. We started back in 1999. Carbon 60 today is a leader of managed enterprise grade cloud infrastructure and security operations with both the private as well as public sector infrastructures. We also provide, of course, a fully managed OS web database tuning, basically through all of our multiple data centers. And we couple that with, again, basically the power of people, right? And it's all about, again, developing great cloud storage, capabilities, obviously through managed backup recovery services. And again, we also provide AWS advanced consulting services as well. We are a partner of AWS, Microsoft Azure Gold partner, as well as a Google Cloud Premier partner with over 75 certifications, basically more than pretty much anyone here in Canada. That being said, Udi, today what we're here to talk about are some of the challenges. That's right, challenges with cloud migrations that we've been basically seeing. And a few of those such challenges that we've basically seen in the industry have really been about workforce related challenges. And it really comes back down to retaining skilled labor, ensuring that skilled labor is, of course, obviously trained, and more importantly, of course, just trying to acquire it. So that being said, what are some of those changes? What are some of those challenges that are ultimately affecting cybersecurity? So let's have a look. So the first one that we've really noticed is hybrid working environments. A lot of employees are getting really stressed out with these hybrid working environments where, again, you've got something where you've got, the in-home all the time or the in-office and then back to in-home. And those hybrid work models have really been stressing out a lot of employees, even burning them out. In fact, actually, a National Bureau of Economic Research released a study that 80% of workers said that their hybrid work environment was really draining for a lot of staff members. And that tells you that, if you're going to do anything, you may want to look at either a out of office work environment or a full-time work environment within, of course, obviously the workplace, one or the other. The skills gap. This is another issue as well. As of course, obviously employees are looking to improve their skills, it's becoming increasingly difficult to really do that. And again, it's really about workload. And of course, obviously retaining those employees really mean that you sometimes have to look at that workload and balance that out against the training that they're ultimately going to need in the future. And then of course, digital transformation. As companies are moving towards obviously a scalable pay per use cloud model, it actually goes to show that companies in themselves see that that is absolutely the future in terms of technology and of course obviously people to of course make that transformational change. But at the same time, workload has also of course overwhelmed a lot of those workers, a lot of that labor force. So it has become in of itself a training inhibitor. It has kind of prevented a lot of those employees from getting the training because they just don't have the time given their workloads, and which is where automation has really come into play. And we're going to get a little bit into that, I think, a little bit later, right, Udi?
Yep, definitely.
And then at the same time, growing cybersecurity. When we look at the cybersecurity privacy threats that are ultimately out there, there has definitely been an increase. Year over year, there has been an increase, especially considering the geopolitical state that we're in at this present time. There's a lot of state-sponsored threats, and we really want to make sure that companies are really well protected so that ultimately their businesses do not get affected and they have better business continuity. Why? Because they have that cybersecurity in place. But along with that, and that being said, and Udi, given that we know about these issues, what are you seeing in the market?
So there's a few things, and as I speak to different customers within different organizations, we see them in one of three different buckets. Either they're stuck somewhere back in the 1990s in what we call the perimeter phase, where they've got their antivirus, they've got their firewall, and they think they're protected. They don't take into account the cloud, they don't take into account mobility, they don't take into account a lot of different things. And so they're kind of stuck back there. But as they're moving forward, we see a lot of customers that are looking into next gen tools or have invested into next generation tools, things like EDR tools, advanced antivirus, advanced firewalls, next generation firewalls. And there's a whole bunch of different tool sets there. But the issue becomes that there's a lot of different alerts, a lot of different information that gets produced by these tool sets, and managing all of that requires a platform, what we call a defense in depth platform. And so the problem is when a lot of customers try to put that together, they see a lot of issues. So they see issues like not having full 24/7 coverage or having too many point products. And again, it's different tool sets that bring in too many alerts, and you get overwhelmed with these different alerts, and being able to do certain things with all the way to the right here, the limited security expertise, just the number of people that you can hire today is quite limited with that security expertise. There's very little people available out there in the field. And when you do finally find them within less than a year, they will get a better offer and they will end up moving somewhere else. And so we speak to customers and we understand that that becomes a very difficult situation. Keeping that intelligence inside becomes really, really hard. And then you're kind of starting at zero when they leave. Lack of centralized visibility, again, having some sort of tool that will actually take in everything and kind of analyze everything, cross-correlate everything. We have a lot of customers that have tried to put together log aggregators, SIMs on their own. It takes a lot of manageability. You need to manage it. You need to constantly maintain it. It becomes very, very, very difficult to do. And then finally, the ability to respond to any kind of incidents, if you do even find that incident, becomes very difficult. So this is what they're seeing in general. It is very difficult, and it is becoming a lot more complicated in general.
Yeah, and despite even having any of these next generation tools, we see that the human expertise is still needed, to process that action into an incident response, right? So what approach does Arctic Wolf take in helping customers, with their resource gap and also ultimately, dealing with some of these issues?
So that's an excellent question. And that brings us to what we call the operational approach, where we want to have broad visibility into everything that's happening within your environment. We want to have 24/7 coverage. And then we not only want to help you from a tactical perspective, but we also want to talk to you about the long-term perspective and guide you there. And so the way that we handle that is in a few different ways. First, we start with broad visibility. Under broad visibility, we provide three different services. The first one is MDR. And I run the analogy, I talk about the analogy of your own home. In your home, you've got an alarm system. That alarm
Hmm.
system is supposed to be able to help protect your home, let you know if anybody's broken in through the window, through the doors. Usually an alarm system would set up sensors. We do the same thing. We set up sensors across your environment. We deploy different things within your environment to be able to pick up on any malicious activity, but not only be able to do that, but also alert you when somebody gets into your environment, anybody's doing anything malicious. So we let you know where that burglar is, anywhere in that house, anywhere within that environment. Then we've got managed risk. Managed risk is an ongoing vulnerability assessment. That
Hmm.
includes vulnerability assessments in your data center, on your endpoints, on your networks, externally facing, and in the cloud. And so you get a really good understanding of where you might be facing risk, where you might have vulnerabilities. This is very important as especially you're deploying into cloud, as different patches become available, as ports need to be locked down. We let you know very quickly. Again, it's an ongoing vulnerability assessment. And again, like everything else that we do, it is a fully managed service. So we walk you through what needs to be done and we kind of order it in level of criticality. Then we've got managed awareness, and that understands that you've got your human factor, your employees, that it doesn't matter how much you've locked things down. Once an employee receives an email with a link and they click on that link, they can download whatever it is, binaries, bring in all kinds of malicious activity. So the whole idea is we want to keep them informed. We want to keep security top of mind and to make sure that the odds of that happening again are reduced. The way we do that is through ongoing training campaigns. These are campaigns that we send out every 2 weeks, very lightweight, 3-minute videos where the employee really gets a good understanding of all kinds of different topics that are out there and so are less likely to click on these different things. We also send out phishing simulations, and those phishing simulations come out every month. Basically, if the user clicks on it, a little pop-up comes up and the training happens right there. It says, hey, you've done this, you shouldn't have, but that's okay. Let us walk you through what you should be looking at next time. So those three different services kind of cover everything that we do. And again, everything is fully managed. We've got 24/7 coverage. So we've got our SOC teams, hundreds of individuals that all their job is to look at screens, at our customer screens, and make sure that they pick up on any malicious activity. We've got a 30-minute critical SLA in which with our response time, we're able to pick up on any malicious activity and actually walk the customer as to what needs to be done. Now that gets differentiated with the concierge security team. That's an additional service on top. And I spoke about it a little earlier on. These are two named individuals that are specifically named to you as the customer, and they are able to walk you through your long-term security posture. They're able to walk you through whether it's specific patching, whether it's critical things that you need to do. They run analysis against your environment, get a really good understanding of what you need to do in the long run. If there's some kind of compliance that you need to adhere to, they will be able to produce reports for that. They will also be able to, if you need to present to an auditor or to an executive, they'll be able to run through everything that you have done from a security perspective. So they really become an augmentation of your team. And really, at the end of the day, it's about your security journey, making sure that you're hardened properly and are ready for the unknown, making sure that, I mean, it's great that we're able to block out any malicious activity, but if we can't do that in the long term and properly harden your environment, then really what good are we doing?
And so essentially, what we're looking at, and so understanding how you cover it and what are the issues organizations are having, maybe we can connect some of these dots together.
Oh yeah, definitely. So if we take a look at the services that we're providing today and take a look back at the kind of the hardships that organizations are having. So what we've got here is the 24/7 service, along with the concierge team, along with the different services that we provided. Really, at the end of the day, we can compare these to the resource gaps that we're solving. And so, Andre, if you want to go over some of these.
Yeah, I could see how essentially the hybrid work model, for instance, as well as, of course, the workload ties directly right into the coverage. I mean, when you have 24/7, 365 coverage provided by both Carbon 60 and Arctic Wolf, that really essentially helps with respects to number one, you know, employee workload. It also helps in terms of course, covering the employee skills gap because again, we're continuously improving, of course, obviously the customer's network. And we've experienced that with Arctic Wolf. We've also experienced that the hybrid work models also get alleviated because number one, you have that concierge security team that is ultimately helping you. They are an extension. And not only are they an extension, but they're really augmenting and supplementing your team really internally. And I really like also the fact that we have that strategic guidance and that continuous improvement because it really focuses, I think, on the growing cybersecurity threats that are evolving in complexity and more importantly, in terms of distribution, right? Through not only one single network, but multiple networks that, of course, obviously, a lot of these threats are coming from. And that's really, I think, where the MDR, the broad visibility comes into play.
Definitely. And again, we're touching on every single part of the environment, whether it's your endpoints, whether it's your network, whether it's your cloud, whether it's constantly informing your users of what needs to be done, as well as from a managed risk perspective, understanding what kind of vulnerabilities out there. And that really helps resolve a lot of that, those resourcing gaps in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of course, the security operations. Now, I brought this slide up because this is actually probably, I think, one of the pinnacle slides that really explain it all. But I'd really like to talk about that broad visibility and maybe even pause for a moment because companies are finding it difficult to tackle cybersecurity threats. And it's really due to the shortage of skilled labor. Udi, maybe you could tell us a little bit about what security operations look like in the cloud at Arctic Wolf.
Definitely. So our security operations platform, when we go into any kind of environment, we are very much vendor agnostic. We will take in any kind of telemetry, whether it's from your endpoints, your EDR, antivirus tools, the actual operating systems, your network, your cloud, whether it's AWS or Azure or GCP for that matter. Identity, things like Okta, like Active Directory, and most importantly,
Yeah.
again, that human factor, that human being that can just click on anything and bring anything in. We will take all that telemetry and send that into the XDR platform. Now, the XDR platform exists in our cloud. It is a massive machine based out of AWS that will be able to take all that data and kind of correlate it, run machine learning, artificial intelligence, all kinds of run books, customized run books for the specific customer, and understand if there's anything malicious happening within that environment. If that machine does come out and say, hey, there's something wrong here, then it will be looked at by a human being within our SOC platform. And so
Mhm.
that individual will take a look, will see whether it is something malicious, or maybe it's something that's normal, maybe it's a false positive. But if it is something
Mm.
that's malicious and something that the customer needs to be aware of, they will be able to open a ticket to what we call an outcome-based approach. So basically that ticket will say, hey, here's what we found, here's how we found it, and most importantly, here's how you get rid of it. And by the way, we're available 24/7, whether it's by phone, whether it's by email, or through our ticketing system, to kind of walk through what needs to be done, and we'll stick around with you until you resolve that problem.
Right, right.
Now, all our services are based on this platform. Again, we've got that concierge delivery model on top of that, those two named individuals that work on the long-term security posture. But again, the services themselves that we provide are the managed detection and response. Again, that the alarm system style. where we can tell you if anybody's kind of gone in and is doing anything malicious within the environment. Manage risk, that ongoing vulnerability assessment to see whether you've got any vulnerabilities or risk within your network, on your host, whether a server, a laptop, or a desktop, pretty much anywhere where you've got a platform, whether it's the cloud, anything external facing. And then finally, as a part of managed security awareness, again, it's that ongoing phishing simulation and training campaigns. And again, these are bite-sized, 3 minutes each, either videos or quizzes that you will run through, your employees will run through, and really keep things top of mind. So the next phishing attack that comes in, or any kind of cybersecurity attack, your users are more ready for that. As a part of this, part of managed detection and response, we do have cloud detection and response that extends that MDR capability into the cloud. We've got data exploration, which really gives you the ability to roll up your sleeves. If you're that type of organization that really likes to do their own exploration, that's fine. We do give you a portal to do your own investigations. A part of managed risk, we do have a cloud security posture management that extends those capabilities, the vulnerability scans into the cloud. As you're deploying stuff into the cloud, we'll be able to see whether you're meeting best practices or if you have any vulnerabilities within those environments. And as a part of managed security awareness, we do have a compliance content pack. And these compliance content packs can include things like PCI training or human resources. We've got about 15 different packs. And so if you wanted to, you can acquire those as well. Finally, we do have an incident response capability. Very shortly, if all hell breaks loose, we do have the ability to inject this service in and be able to take care of anything that is anything that might be need to be taken care of. This can be something like ransomware, for example. If it's spreading everywhere within your environment and you need that additional help, we can do that. Now, in order to pay for that, we've got something called the Arctic Wolf Security Operations Warranty. And that warranty will cover you as a customer for up to $1 million US in terms of expenses. Now, that's broken down into several categories. As you can see on the left-hand side, we've got the ransomware and BEC compliance, cyber and legal liability, as well as business income loss. And depending on how many services you have with us, if it's 2 services, MDR plus one of the other 2 services, that would be $500,000 eligibility. If you've got all 3 services and a couple of additional things, you can be up to $1 million. Now, this breaks down into different categories. As you can see here, we've got ransomware and BEC. That gives you coverage of up to $200,000. Those $200,000 can either be used for the incident response capabilities, being able to figure out and kind of have boots on the ground there, or better yet, if we see that there's nothing we can do about it, it can actually be used to pay off the ransom attack. And that's pretty much that.
Yeah, and that being said, maybe we can provide everybody just a quick summary here overall, because I think that, kind of looking at that operational approach once more, and in terms of course, obviously what it does provide, which is, again, we're looking at that hybrid work environment, that employee skill gap and retention, the digital transformation, the cloud computing. All of this is actually really taken care of by a Arctic Wolf and Carbon 60 operational approach that really helps to remediate within minutes, essentially any issues that they might ultimately have from a security threat, right? And at the same time, when your workload is overwhelming and you don't have essentially the time to train your employees, or your employees in themselves are really, involved in the routine part of your business continuity, often a lot of employees get overworked. They get overwhelmed, and as a result, sometimes threats come in and they're not able to tackle them. And that is really where that SOC comes in from, again, Arctic Wolf, and of course where C60 comes in to remediate it. And of course you have, an amazing concierge security team that is a named concierge security team, right, Udi?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So we do really provide the ability to keep you secure, both from a tactical perspective, 24/7 SOC, as well as a long-term perspective, looking at any kind of risk that might be in your environment, any kind of open vulnerabilities, again, taking care of that human aspect, making sure that those human beings don't click on that next link and download anything that might be dangerous.
Yeah.
Pretty much it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what, Audi, I got to thank you very much for your time today. You've been very generous with respects to it. And again, everybody, I really do appreciate everyone for joining us today. And we'll hopefully see you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye now.
Cheers.